He sits at the divorce attorney's office trying to understand how 20 years of marriage, 3 children, and a lifetime of sacrifice ended with papers that divide everything he worked to build. He'd provided the house she wanted, the vacation she dreamed of, the lifestyle she demanded. He'd been faithful, supportive, generous beyond his means. He'd given everything he had to give, and somehow that became the exact reason she left. The attorney explains asset division while he mentally calculates the cost of his generosity. The $50,000 in jewelry she'll keep, the $200,000 in vacations they took together, the endless restaurant meals, shopping trips, and experiences he funded. All of it now feels like paying for his own destruction. A man who bought himself out of his own relationship by giving away everything that might have kept her interested. What he doesn't understand is that he fell victim to the most dangerous misconception in modern relationships. The belief that what you've already given creates security for what you'll receive tomorrow. He operated like a bank making loans based on past deposits, while she operated like a consumer evaluating current and future value propositions. You know this man. Maybe you are this man. The guy who believes that being generous, supportive, and giving should create gratitude, loyalty, and commitment. The man who thinks that years of good behavior should earn him relationship security. The person who discovered too late that relationship accounting doesn't work like business accounting. Today, I'm going to reveal why everything you've been taught about building lasting relationships is backwards, and how understanding the psychology of female relationship motivation can help you become the man she never considers leaving. Not because you've given her everything she wants, but because you've mastered the art of being what she can never quite fully have. Here's the brutal truth about relationship security. Everything you've already provided is completely worthless for maintaining future commitment. The house you bought, the vacations you funded, the support you provided, the sacrifices you made, all of it becomes worthless the moment it's delivered, because it moves from her future desires column into her accomplished history column. This principle operates like economic depreciation, where assets lose value the moment they're acquired. That romantic vacation you saved for months to provide becomes worthless relationship currency the day you return home because it's now just a memory instead of an anticipated experience. The principle explains why men who advance their giving often find themselves in the most precarious relationship positions. Every gift given, every sacrifice made, every gesture of love reduces your future value proposition while increasing her expectations for what comes next. This creates what I call generosity depletion syndrome, where your relationship influence decreases in direct proportion to your relationship contributions. The more you give, the less you have to offer. The more you provide, the less valuable you become as a provider. Understanding this principle requires recognizing that women don't maintain emotional ledgers that credit your account for past contributions. They maintain forward-looking assessment systems that evaluate your capacity to enhance their future experiences rather than your track record of past performance. The principle also explains why relationships often end precisely when men feel most secure about their contributions. The moment you believe your generosity has earned you relationship stability is often the moment you've eliminated the very anticipation and future potential that maintained her interest. This contribution irrelevance isn't malicious or calculated. It's how human psychology processes satisfaction and desire. Once something is obtained, it stops creating excitement and starts creating expectation for what comes next. Men operate under a fundamental delusion about how relationship economics work, believing that women maintain the same reciprocal obligation systems that govern male social interactions. This delusion creates catastrophic miscalculations about how generosity, sacrifice, and investment translate into loyalty and commitment. This delusion manifests in the expectation that generous treatment creates reciprocal generous treatment, that sacrifices made generate sacrifices received, and that contributions provided establish obligations owed. Men believe they're making deposits in a relationship account that will pay dividends in future security and appreciation. The delusion operates like assuming everyone speaks your language when they actually operate under completely different communication systems. Your generosity speaks obligation creation to you, but it speaks expectation establishment to her. Your sacrifice communicates debt accumulation to your mind, but standard setting to hers. This creates what I call reciprocity expectation disorder, where men become increasingly frustrated by the lack of return on their relationship investments, while women become increasingly burdened by expectations they never agreed to accept. The male reciprocal framework assumes that relationship balance operates like business partnerships, where contributions create equity, and equity creates security. But women don't think in terms of earned equity, they think in terms of current value and future potential. Understanding this delusion helps explain why traditional relationship advice about being generous, supportive, and giving often backfires spectacularly. These behaviors create obligation expectations in men while creating standard expectations in women. The delusion also explains why women often seem ungrateful for past contributions while men seem entitled about future treatment. Both are operating under different accounting systems for how relationship value gets calculated and maintained. Breaking free from this delusion requires accepting that your relationship security isn't based on what you've already given, but on what you're still capable of providing that she doesn't already possess. Female relationship attachment operates like physical hunger, a constantly regenerating need that must be continuously fed regardless of how well you've provided nourishment in the past. No amount of previous satisfaction creates immunity from future hunger, and no quantity of past feeding eliminates the need for ongoing provision. This model explains why relationship security can't be achieved through front-loaded investment or dramatic gestures that prove your commitment once and for all. Just as eating an enormous meal doesn't eliminate hunger permanently, providing massive relationship value doesn't eliminate the need for ongoing value creation. The hunger psychology means that her attachment to you depends on your current and anticipated capacity to satisfy her evolving needs, rather than your historical record of satisfaction provision. Yesterday's feeding doesn't create today's fullness, and today's satisfaction doesn't guarantee tomorrow's contentment. This creates what I call satisfaction reset syndrome, where each day begins with zero relationship credit regardless of previous day's contributions. Every interaction starts fresh. Every experience must stand on its own merit. Every gesture of love must justify itself without reference to past gestures. The model also explains why relationships require ongoing effort rather than achieving stable maintenance phases where previous investment pays individual returns. The hunger never ends, the needs never become permanently satisfied, the appetite never becomes permanently filled. Understanding hunger psychology helps explain why women who seemed perfectly content with your relationship contributions can suddenly become dissatisfied or interested in alternatives. The satisfaction was real but temporary, like fullness after a good meal. The psychology also reveals why relationship security requires ongoing value creation rather than accumulated value banking. You can't rest on past contributions because past contributions don't create current satisfaction any more than past meals create current fullness. This model isn't criticism of female psychology, it's recognition that attachment and desire operate on present moment satisfaction rather than historical appreciation systems. Modern relationship progression follows a predictable advancement pattern that creates a dangerous trap for men who mistake partnership progression for relationship security. Each advancement level requires greater investment while providing less influence, ultimately leading to maximum vulnerability at minimum negotiating power. This system operates like career advancement, where each promotion requires greater responsibility and investment, while reducing your options for changing companies. The more advanced your position, the more you have to lose by leaving, and the more difficult it becomes to start over elsewhere. The trap begins with dating investment, time, money, emotional energy spent creating attraction and connection. Each success requires greater investment to maintain momentum, from casual dating to exclusive dating to cohabitation to engagement to marriage to children. Each advancement feels like progress towards security, but actually represents increased exposure to loss combined with decreased ability to recover from relationship failure. The more you advance, the more you have at stake, and the less appealing starting over becomes. The system creates what I call advancement addiction, where men become psychologically committed to continuing progression, not because each level improves their position, but because the investment required to reach each level makes retreat feel impossible. The most dangerous aspect of this system is how it concentrates maximum risk at maximum investment. By the time you've reached full relationship advancement, marriage, children, shared assets, you have the most to lose precisely when you have the least leverage to prevent loss. The trap also explains why women often initiate relationship termination at peak advancement levels. This isn't coincidental timing, it's strategic optimization where they exit when they've extracted maximum value while men are least capable of starting over. Understanding this system allows you to recognize that relationship advancement isn't necessarily relationship improvement, and that each escalation level should be evaluated based on your leverage position rather than just emotional satisfaction. Relationship assets fall into two categories that determine your leverage position: secured assets that she can never lose, and leverage assets that she risks losing by leaving. Understanding this framework is crucial for maintaining the kind of ongoing value proposition that creates lasting attachment rather than temporary satisfaction. Secured assets include everything you've already provided that becomes permanently hers regardless of relationship outcome. Vacations taken, experiences shared, gifts given, support provided. All of these move immediately into her secured column, where they provide no ongoing leverage for relationship maintenance. These assets also include intangible benefits like emotional growth, confidence building, social connections, and life experiences that she gained through your relationship, but retains permanently regardless of whether the relationship continues. Influence assets represent everything she wants but hasn't yet received, everything she hopes for but hasn't yet achieved, and everything she anticipates but hasn't yet experienced. These assets provide continuous motivation for relationship maintenance because leaving would mean abandoning potential benefits. The framework creates a devastating mathematical reality. Every gift you give converts influence assets into secured assets, reducing your negotiating position while increasing her security. Generosity literally weakens your relationship standing by moving value from the influence column to the secured column. This explains why relationships often become less stable, as generosity increases rather than more stable. Each contribution reduces the cost of leaving, while increasing the security of staying, which paradoxically makes leaving more attractive and staying less valuable. Understanding this framework requires thinking like an investor who maintains portfolio positions rather than like a philanthropist who distributes assets. Your relationship security depends on maintaining valuable positions rather than distributing valuable gifts. The most successful long-term relationships are those where men understand that their value lies in their continuous capacity to provide benefits rather than their historical record of benefit provision. If you're starting to understand why traditional relationship generosity often backfires and want to learn more about maintaining leverage while building genuine connection, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. The psychology I'm explaining today challenges everything you've been taught about how to build lasting relationships, and there's much more depth to explore in upcoming videos about attraction maintenance and strategic relationship management. Creating lasting relationship attachment requires building what I call anticipation architecture, a psychological structure where she's continuously looking forward to experiences, achievements, and developments that require your ongoing presence and commitment to materialize. This architecture operates like subscription services that maintain customer loyalty through promised future value rather than past service delivery. The customer stays subscribed not because of what they've already received, but because of what they anticipate receiving next. The architecture requires careful balance between promise and delivery, aspiration and achievement, anticipation and fulfillment. Too much promise without delivery creates disappointment. Too much delivery without promise creates boredom. The optimal balance maintains steady progress toward goals while preserving ongoing anticipation. Building this architecture means understanding her genuine desires and creating realistic pathways toward achieving them that require your ongoing participation and commitment. This might include career goals, lifestyle aspirations, experience objectives, or personal development targets that she can't achieve independently. The architecture also requires timeline management, where you provide enough progress to maintain credibility, while preserving enough anticipation to maintain attachment. She needs to see evidence that her desires are achievable while maintaining hunger for their complete fulfillment. This creates what I call strategic delayed gratification, where satisfaction is provided in doses that create appreciation without eliminating anticipation. Each partial fulfillment increases desire for complete fulfillment, rather than creating satisfaction that eliminates future need. The most sophisticated version of anticipation architecture involves creating desires that grow larger as they become more achievable. ensuring that fulfillment creates expanded aspiration rather than satisfied completion. This architecture isn't manipulation, it's alignment between your capacity to provide value and her capacity to appreciate ongoing value creation rather than demanding immediate complete satisfaction. While anticipation architecture requires maintaining future focus, it must be built on genuine capability and authentic intention rather than deceptive promises designed to manipulate temporary attachment. This protocol ensures that your future focus creates sustainable attraction rather than eventual disappointment. The protocol begins with honest assessment of your actual capacity to deliver on created anticipations. Building expectations you can't fulfill destroys credibility and creates the kind of disappointment that drives permanent relationship termination rather than temporary dissatisfaction. Authentic protocol also requires alignment between her genuine desires and your genuine capabilities. Creating anticipation around goals she doesn't actually want, or achievements you can't actually provide, serves neither person's long-term interests. The protocol includes realistic timeline establishment, where anticipated outcomes are achievable within reasonable timeframes. Extended timelines without progress create frustration, while compressed timelines without adequate preparation create failure. This authenticity framework explains why manipulative promise-making ultimately fails in long-term relationships, even when it succeeds in short-term attraction. People eventually recognize the gap between promise and capability, creating trust damage that often can't be repaired. Understanding this protocol helps distinguish between strategic future focus and manipulative promise inflation. Strategic focus creates genuine anticipation around achievable goals, while manipulation creates false anticipation around impossible promises. The protocol also requires ongoing calibration as capabilities change and desires evolve. What was initially achievable might become impossible, and what was initially desired might become irrelevant, requiring honest adjustment of anticipation architecture. Most importantly, the protocol ensures that your future focus creates genuine value for her rather than just relationship leverage for you. The goal is mutual benefit through achieved aspirations rather than one-sided control through managed expectations. Maintaining long-term relationship security requires systematic preservation of your influence, standing through careful management of contribution timing, investment pacing, and benefit distribution. This system prevents the common pattern of early maximum giving that eliminates future negotiating power. The preservation system operates like portfolio management, where you maintain positions in assets that provide ongoing returns rather than converting everything to immediate consumption. Your relationship investments should provide ongoing leverage rather than immediate satisfaction, followed by permanent depletion. This system requires resistance to social pressure and relationship pressure that demands immediate maximum generosity as proof of commitment. The preservation system recognizes that sustainable relationships require sustainable value creation rather than dramatic value distribution. The system also includes strategic timing of major contributions, where significant investments are made only when they serve your leverage position rather than when they're demanded by expectations or social pressure. Timing creates value that immediate response destroys. Leverage preservation means maintaining capacity to provide benefits that she values while avoiding complete depletion of that capacity through premature or excessive generosity. You remain valuable because you remain capable, not because you've proven capability through exhaustion. The system also requires ongoing capacity building where you continuously develop new capabilities and opportunities that expand your value proposition, rather than relying on static assets that depreciate over time. Understanding leverage preservation helps explain why successful long-term relationships often involve men who remain somewhat mysterious, capable, and full of unrealized potential, rather than men who've revealed and provided everything they're capable of providing. The preservation system isn't about being withholding or manipulative, it's about maintaining the kind of ongoing value creation that keeps relationships dynamic and forward-looking, rather than static and history-dependent. Long-term relationship investment inevitably involves risk exposure that increases as investment levels increase and alternatives decrease. Understanding and managing this risk exposure is crucial for maintaining relationship security without becoming completely vulnerable to relationship loss. The strategy begins with honest assessment of your risk exposure at different relationship advancement levels. Each escalation exclusive dating, cohabitation, engagement, marriage, children, increases your potential losses while decreasing your recovery options if the relationship fails. Risk mitigation doesn't mean avoiding relationship investment, but rather making strategic investments that provide genuine value while preserving your capacity to recover and rebuild if necessary. This includes maintaining individual identity, independent social connections, and personal development that exists outside the relationship context. The strategy also includes diversification, where your life satisfaction and identity don't depend entirely on relationship success. This provides psychological security that prevents desperate behavior and maintains attractive independence that actually strengthens relationship dynamics. Risk management requires recognition that some relationship risks can't be eliminated, but can be consciously accepted with full awareness of potential consequences. This conscious acceptance feels different than unconscious exposure that creates anxiety and desperate behavior. The strategy also includes ongoing relationship assessment, where you monitor the health and trajectory of your investment, rather than assuming that increased investment automatically creates increased security. Understanding risk mitigation helps explain why men who maintain some level of independence and alternative options often have more stable relationships than men who sacrifice everything for relationship focus. The capacity to survive relationship loss paradoxically reduces the likelihood of relationship loss. The mitigation strategy isn't about preparing for failure. It's about maintaining the kind of strength and independence that makes you attractive and valuable, rather than desperate and needy. Long-term relationship success requires transitioning from consumption-based generosity to creation-based value provision, where your relationship contributions enhance both people's lives rather than depleting your resources while increasing her expectations. This model operates like business partnerships, where value creation benefits everyone involved rather than charity, where one person gives while the other receives. Sustainable relationships require mutual benefit rather than one-sided sacrifice. The creation model focuses on developing capabilities, opportunities, and experiences that provide ongoing value rather than temporary satisfaction. This might include career development, skill building, social network expansion, or lifestyle improvement that benefits both people continuously. Sustainable value creation also means identifying win-win opportunities where your investments provide genuine benefit to her while also providing benefit to you. This creates positive reinforcement cycles rather than depletion cycles that create resentment. The model also requires ongoing innovation where you continuously identify new ways to create value rather than relying on established patterns that lose effectiveness over time. Relationships need novelty and growth to maintain engagement and satisfaction. Understanding sustainable value creation helps explain why relationships built on mutual growth and development last longer than relationships built on one-sided provision and support. Both people benefit from continued partnership, creating shared investment in relationship success. The creation model also explains why men who maintain their own growth and development, while supporting her growth and development, create the most stable long-term relationships. They remain valuable partners because they remain growing, improving, and expanding people. This model isn't about calculating every gesture or withholding support. It's about ensuring that your relationship contributions create expanding possibilities rather than depleting resources. Maintaining long-term relationship attachment requires active cultivation of desires that keep her psychologically oriented toward future possibilities rather than satisfied with current achievements. This technique creates ongoing motivation for relationship maintenance without resorting to artificial scarcity or manipulative withholding. The technique operates through understanding her genuine aspirations and creating pathways toward achieving them that naturally require time development and ongoing partnership. These might include career goals, lifestyle improvements, experience objectives, or personal development targets that align with her authentic desires. Cultivation requires careful balance where you provide enough support and progress to maintain credibility while preserving enough anticipation to maintain motivation. Each achievement should create expanded aspiration rather than satisfied completion. The technique also involves helping her develop desires she didn't know she had through exposure to new experiences, opportunities, and possibilities that expand her vision of what her life could become. This creates organic desire growth rather than artificial desire creation. Successful desire cultivation feels natural and beneficial rather than manipulative or controlling. She experiences genuine excitement about future possibilities and appreciates your role in making them achievable, rather than feeling managed or manipulated. The technique requires ongoing calibration as her desires evolve and your capabilities change. What was initially appealing might become irrelevant, and new interests might develop that require different support and partnership approaches. Understanding desire cultivation helps explain why relationships that maintain forward momentum and shared goals tend to be more stable than relationships that achieve all initial objectives and then stagnate without new directions. The cultivation technique isn't about creating dependency or dissatisfaction. It's about maintaining the kind of growth-oriented partnership that keeps both people engaged and excited about their shared future. Successful anticipation architecture requires sophisticated schedule coordination, where promised experiences and achieved goals are distributed across timeframes that maintain continuous engagement without creating frustration or disappointment through excessive delay. This protocol operates like project management, where deliverables are scheduled to maintain momentum while ensuring quality outcomes. Too much delay creates impatience, while too much speed eliminates anticipation and creates boredom after completion. Schedule coordination means understanding her patient's thresholds and expectation patterns to create delivery schedules that feel satisfying rather than frustrating. This requires continuous communication and calibration rather than arbitrary schedule establishment. The protocol also includes milestone management, where larger goals are broken into smaller achievements that provide regular satisfaction while maintaining progress toward bigger objectives. This creates ongoing positive reinforcement while preserving long-term anticipation. Effective timeline management also means being honest about realistic timeframes, rather than making promises you can't deliver within reasonable periods. Better to underpromise and overdeliver than create disappointment through unrealistic timeline commitments. The protocol includes flexibility for circumstances that affect timeline achievement, with honest communication about delays or changes rather than continued promises that become less credible over time. Understanding schedule coordination helps explain why relationships that maintain steady progress towards shared goals tend to be more stable than relationships that either stagnate without progress or rush through achievements without building sustainable anticipation. The coordination protocol isn't about manipulating schedules to maintain control. It's about creating realistic progress schedules that maintain engagement while ensuring successful achievement of genuinely desired outcomes. While maintaining anticipation and managing timelines is crucial for long-term relationship security, the entire system depends on authentic delivery of promised value and genuine achievement of cultivated desires. This framework ensures that your future focus creates real satisfaction rather than accumulated disappointment. The framework begins with realistic capability assessment, where you honestly evaluate your ability to deliver on created anticipations before building expectations around them. Creating desires you can't fulfill destroys the entire system through credibility damage. Authentic delivery also requires ongoing skill development and resource building that expands your capacity to fulfill promises and achieve goals. Your ability to deliver should improve over time rather than remaining static while expectations increase. The framework includes honest communication about challenges, delays, or changing circumstances that affect your delivery capacity. Transparency maintains trust, even when timelines need adjustment or goals need modification. Delivery authenticity means ensuring that achieved outcomes provide genuine satisfaction and value rather than meeting technical requirements while missing emotional or practical benefits. The goal is real fulfillment, not just promise completion. The framework also requires celebration and appreciation of achieved goals, rather than immediately moving to the next objective without acknowledging progress. This creates positive reinforcement for the entire system, while building satisfaction with your partnership capability. Understanding authentic delivery helps explain why sustainable anticipation architecture requires genuine capability and intention, rather than strategic promise-making designed to maintain short-term attachment without long-term fulfillment. The delivery framework isn't about perfect execution or guaranteed outcomes. It's about maintaining integrity between promise and capability while working genuinely toward mutually beneficial goals. If this analysis has helped you understand how to maintain lasting relationship attachment through strategic value creation rather than front-loaded generosity, subscribe to this channel for more insights into relationship psychology and strategic partnership building. Hit that notification bell, because understanding these dynamics could help you create the kind of lasting relationship security that survives long-term investment without creating vulnerability. Share this video with any man who needs to understand that relationship security comes from ongoing value creation rather than accumulated past contributions. The goal isn't to become manipulative or withholding in your relationships, but to understand that lasting attachment requires maintaining the kind of forward-looking value proposition that keeps both people excited about their shared future rather than satisfied with their shared past. Being the man she never walks away from isn't about being perfect or providing everything she wants immediately. It's about becoming the kind of partner whose ongoing presence and capability creates better possibilities for her future than any alternative she can imagine. This requires strategic thinking about timing, value creation, and relationship architecture that maintains healthy dynamics while building genuine partnership towards shared objectives.